This is Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnon, the podcast.
Now, today, when we talk about constructing a retirement plan and we run into a challenge, I myself, not doing, planning for retirement every day, I have no idea what to do next. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. I can't move forward. But you doing this over 40 years, David, you're one to come in and say, look, I know it sounds like a challenge, like an obstacle, but we can do X, Y, and Z, and we're able to go around this issue. And I think that surprises a lot of folks. Can you talk more about that?
Well, I think when you're working on anything, including your retirement planning, you have to look into the future, what you envision your life to be or what you want it to be. And obviously it costs money. Not every decision, but most decisions will affect your finances in one way, shape, or form. But a lot of people are making decisions without looking into the future with what that price tag is going to be. And the thing is, people work hard. They start a family. They don't have any formal education about how to manage finances, any information about how to mitigate taxes, and the investment world is so complicated. They get out of school, they have this paycheck coming in, they have their monthly expenses, they start a family, and then they save what they can. And this happens quite often, and people save, and the plan is a plan of hope. They hope that when they do eventually hit the age that they want to retire, the nest egg is a sizable amount or enough to carry them for the supplemental income that's going to need to create on top of their Social Security for the rest of their life expectancy, adjusted for inflation and taxes. And the way to do this is you got to have a plan. It's just like building a home. So you have to have an architectural drawing of all the dimensions of the house up from the hole in the ground to the finished product. And that'll eliminate a lot of costly mistakes and keep you on a good schedule of getting it done timely. Well, with the world of finance, you should have a strategic, personalized retirement and financial and estate plan. And it starts with asking a lot of questions. What are your hopes and dreams? Everybody has dreams when they retire. Well, how do you fulfill those dreams? Well, you fulfill them by planning for them and trying to wrap a plan around all your expenses, not just your bare necessities, but what you want to accomplish. And if you do that today, now we can look into the future with what that price tag is going to be. And obviously we have to use certain variable assumptions for inflation and taxes and longevity, but we can stress test it for all those different variations. But at least we can have a starting point as to what you need to save today, what rate of return you need to strive for, and where you put your money to accumulate for tax diversification. So you have very good tax efficiency in retirement because you can put money in taxable investments, tax deferred, tax free. But at least we have a starting point that we're looking into the future with today to make your decisions more effectively today, because you have to look into the future with what you want to accomplish. And unfortunately, I don't see people doing that. And this is why we at least want to help people get some clarity as to what they're currently doing. And that's why we always offer the comprehensive investment portfolio analysis, because a lot of people don't truly understand how they're investing, what kind of risk they're taking, and whether, in fact, those investments are in the right place for their plan. And usually they don't have a really good tax mitigation plan for the future. And so that's a good starting point, because now they can see what is possible and looking at things with better clarity and learn about some of the things that they don't even know exist that can better help them with their planning objective as far as their investments go. But there's a bigger picture to all this. We have to do a comprehensive plan. When they see the value we can create just by a good investment analysis, think about all the different things that are in your blind spot that people make mistakes on that we can uncover, stop those mistakes, and they keep compounding until you find out that they're occurring. And big major areas where people make big mistakes: how they finance and pay off their home, how they manage the cash flow, how they make capital purchases, how they fund their retirement, how they pay their taxes. Those are the major ones. There's other ones that we look at. But if you find those wealth transfers that are occurring with money you already have, and we stop that, you can have a big transformation in the impact on your financial plan in a good way and have those better financial decisions built into your plan and compound expenses that no longer exist but become an asset to you. And when people see the investment analysis we do, Now they start thinking, wow, what is the other information that we need to know that is hurting us? And when the plan is done, then the investment decisions are very easy. Now that the analysis will show us how you really need to invest, what returns you're going to need, how much you're going to need to save, and where to put the money to be very tax efficient throughout your retirement. So if you really want to get some better clarity with your planning and get on a personalized strategic plan approach, give us a call. We'd be happy to sit down and have a discussion and see how we can better help you.
Yeah, I mean, it really all begins, as you talked about here, with this comprehensive financial plan. Finding that clarity, having a personalized custom plan made just for you is a great starting point to make sure that as you are building this foundation for retirement, or maybe it's already built, you've been retired for a few years, you've run into some challenges, or you're wanting a second set of eyes on there, this comprehensive planning analysis is for you. That phone number, 203-872-0009. That's 203-872-0009. That website, masteringyourwealthradio.com. You know, for many, the 401k ends up being their biggest retirement asset. But an article I read at msn.com warns about tapping it too freely because of something called phantom income. So if you're not careful, you could trigger extra taxes just by crossing certain income thresholds. So if withdrawals themselves can create those kinds of surprises, David, how do you make sure that you're not accidentally pushing yourself into a higher tax bracket in retirement?
Well, that is a very important issue because many retirees think about withdrawals only in terms of cash flow, right? So they'll come to us and they say, well, I need $4,000 this month, or I need $20,000 for a car, and they take it from a 401k. Now, but every dollar that comes out of a traditional 401k generally is taxable income. And once that income hits the tax return, it can create a chain reaction of some other expenses or some other tax events that they didn't really see in their blind spot. So that is what people mean when they talk about phantom income. Other things can be costlier with that one withdrawal, or many, and it may not feel like new income because you're just using your own retirement savings, but for tax purposes, that withdrawal can push you over thresholds that can cause more of your Social Security to become taxable, move you into a higher tax bracket, increase Medicare premiums, or reduce certain tax benefits. So you got to be really careful and understand the ramifications of some of these distributions.
Yeah, and you talk about phantom income. I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like, right? I mean, you feel like it's there, but it's not there.
Yeah, and so, a lot of people like doing Roth conversions or think about doing them. And depending on the timing, if you're going to do them when you're in your late 60s and you're on Medicare Part B and you start doing Roth conversions, now we do them where it makes a lot of sense, but that could push your Medicare Part B premiums up when you're converting some of your IRA money into a Roth, and you have to pick that IRA conversion amount up as a taxable item on that year's return. So there's some other things that could get costlier. So, the question isn't just how much do I need to withdraw? The better question is, what will this withdrawal do to the rest of my financial picture? And we can plug in different scenarios. If you're going to take a withdrawal out, we can plug in somebody's data about the return, what income's coming in, how it's going to get taxed, because there could be different types of income that get taxed differently, and see before they actually pull the money out, we can show them what is the additional cost that might impact this distribution. So this is where retirement income planning and tax planning have to really work together, because the tax laws are very complicated, and I think it's good for anybody that's, especially if you're going to have to take a big chunk of money out that's going to be subject to taxation, talk to your tax preparer and see, is there going to be another cost that you don't see coming? And so we help clients look at their income sources in layers: Social Security, pension income, 401ks and IRA withdrawals, your Roth IRA withdrawals, your taxable investments. All these have to, be taken into account. Also your cash reserves, annuity income, if it's appropriate, and required minimum distributions if you're in that stage of your retirement. So it's very complicated, that, the way the tax return, is impacted when you're taking certain types of income and what level of income your distributions you are taking. we get a lot of calls from folks because they have to make some of these decisions and they're just not getting the answers they need. And so if somebody's really on the fence about whether it's a wise decision to take money out of an IRA or some source that might impact their tax return, I'd certainly would love to help somebody in that situation, have a brief discussion as to whether it's possibly a bad decision or not. And we can do a quick tax analysis and determine and help them out and see if that really makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, here's the deal. Taxes, they're not the easiest thing to begin with in general. And then you move into retirement. Things starts changing about taxes, when you can, how you can, will it move you in a different bracket. So instead of staying up at night stressing out about it or trying to read about it, inform yourself, of course, but leave all that dirty work and that hard labor to David, guys. I'm telling you, put his 40 years of experience to work for you, managing that balance between that tax analysis and having that income plan, making sure everything's working together so that your withdrawals are also going to work together. So if you'd like to come in for this complimentary tax analysis, call right now. That's 203-872-0009. That's 203-872-0009. Check out that website as well, masteringyourwealthradio.com. Way back in 2011, Warren Buffett threw out an idea on CNBC that was really kind of a half joke, but kind of a half challenge. And today, I think it'd be a miracle. But what if fixing the deficit really wasn't that complicated? Here is Warren's idea.
I can end the deficit in 5 minutes. You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Now you've got the incentives in the right place, right? So it's capable of being done. And if you guys can't get it done, we'll get some other guys to get it done.
Listen, I'm on board with this idea. What do you think, David?
I'll tell you, I've said this so many times to folks over the years. If anybody wants to hold a political office, they should first prove that they can actually reconcile their own checking account. That's got to be a prerequisite to running for any office. And I would not be shocked that most of them can't. But the key word is flexibility. When the government is running large deficits, retirees cannot consume that. Today's tax rules, benefit rules, and spending programs will remain exactly the same forever because things are always going to be in a state of flux and change. And that doesn't mean you panic. It means you build a plan that's not dependent on one perfect set of assumptions. The retirement plan has to be able to handle moving targets. Taxes may change, Social Security rules may change, Medicare premiums may go up, inflation changes, all these things change. And it's good to stress test a plan that can kind of pivot when it's needed to do so and still sustain the viability for the lifetime of that retiree's financial needs. The first lever is tax diversification. And people really aren't getting good forward-looking tax planning assistance because, when people go into retirement, they've been told they're going to be in a lower tax bracket.
Yeah, I've heard that my whole life. Yeah, it's not real, folks. But that's also part of that conversation here is, deficits, of course, they're going to put pressure on future decisions on taxes. And like you mentioned here, Social Security, even Medicare. So when it comes to putting together that financial plan with you, David, part of your job is helping build flexibility into that so that we're prepared for those higher taxes, prepared for the changes with inflation and benefits. How can you do this? I've never seen you have a crystal ball. So how do you do this?
We have to really look at everybody's financial situation on a personal level because everybody's financial situation is so different. But we have to look at tax diversification, income diversification, spending flexibility, tax bracket management. All these things affect your plan. We worked with a couple who had most of their savings in a traditional 401k. They were about 5 years from retirement, and they assumed they simply would just take withdrawals later. But when we projected their future RMDs and their Social Security taxation and possible Medicare premium exposure, we saw that they had a limited window to create more tax flexibility. So we developed a strategy that included partial Roth conversions. We built out a cash reserve and coordinated Social Security timing. So that gave them more financial efficiency in their income planning, not only short-term but long-term. And the point was not to predict Washington perfectly and what was going to change there. Nobody can really do that. The point was to give them more control no matter what Washington does. So that is what planning should do. It should help you prepare for uncertainty instead of pretending uncertainty doesn't exist. And it's got to be modeled out for each person's views of what they want to accomplish into the future in their retirement. And you have to put a price tag on it. It's not as simple as most people want to make it out, because there's a lot of financial decisions that go into the entirety of the plans, not just saving, investing, and withdrawing. You have to make good decisions in optimizing Social Security, your pension, tax planning, longevity planning. What about out-of-pocket health care or when a spouse dies? Those are all events that affect your finances. And we try to plan for all that and have a contingency plan when those events occur.
For more details or to sit down with David for your complimentary financial GPS, visit masteringyourwealthradio.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, BWA, a registered investment advisor and an affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and First Financial Planners are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BWA, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents.
Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims-paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.
David Gagnon and First Financial Planners are not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.
Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interests of our clients and to make full disclosure of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure of the ADV 2A Item 4 for additional information.